Good morning, Santa Clarita. Delgado here with you on this Thursday, July 3rd, on the 4th of July, Independence Eve. We actually have Jade from the newsroom to give us our KHTS news update. Good morning, Jade.
Good morning, Delgado. How are you doing today?
Not bad, not too bad. We have tomorrow, the long weekend is ahead of us, so just getting ready for the 4th of July weekend, but I have to get through today first.
That
How
we
about you
do.
doing?
Absolutely. Same thing here. Getting prepped to have our news coverage for the 4th of July weekend. It's going to be a very exciting time here in Old Town Newhall. We do have the parade that is happening. However, before that, I do want to give you some updates on what's been happening here in Santa Clarita this week. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right, this week we do have some very exciting top headline, which is that Santa Clarita City Council member Jason Gibbs has announced that he is running for Congress in California's 27th district. That is the area that represents the Santa Clarita Valley and parts of the Antelope Valley up to the Kern County line. So this is a very large congressional district. It is currently represented by Congressman George Whitesides, who was the former head of NASA under the Obama administration. Jason Gibbs, if you're not familiar, is a literal rocket scientist. He has been a great addition to our Santa Clarita City Council. I used to cover those evenings, and he has always had some very measured comments and evaluations for what's happening locally. So it will be very interesting to see how this next election cycle evolves.
And that is not this year. That's going to be for next year, or is it this year?
That would be the 2026 election cycle.
Okay, but he just announced yesterday, so in prep he has a long campaign to go, but that'll be for next year.
Correct. And following up on that, that is not the most exciting thing that has happened this week. It is only one of them. We also have, unfortunately, some very sad news. A man was killed in a hit-and-run crash approximately 2 weeks ago, just after midnight on Sunday, June 22nd. He was struck and killed by a car outside of the Vincent Grade Metrolink station in Acton. He has finally been identified. This man is 68-year-old David Beal of Palmdale, and the driver did not stop. This is an open case. This man was killed in a hit-and-run auto versus pedestrian collision, and the California Highway Patrol is still seeking information as to what exactly killed Mr. Beal and how this circumstances occurred. We know he ended up in the roadway. We don't know who hit him or if there were any other circumstances related to his death. So the California Highway Patrol is seeking information and requesting that anybody who believes that they or anyone they know knows anything about what may have killed Mr. Beal at 12:49 a.m. Sunday, June 22nd, outside of the Vincent Grade Metrolink station in Acton, that they please call the CHP Antelope Valley office at 661-743-6060. Once again, that's 661-743-6060 to try to help bring some resolution to Mr. Beal's death. Now, in slightly better news, this one's a little also crime related. It is a little bit more entertaining, though. Have you ever heard of crime tourism?
No. Do you take a tour of crime spots? I have no idea what crime tourism is.
So it's actually pretty similar. It's when a criminal decides to go visit somewhere for the express purpose of committing crimes. This has become a very popular term for international crime, where you'll hear about someone from another country coming to the United States in order to commit more organized crimes, especially in terms of large-scale theft. In this case, however, this one hits a little bit closer to home. Two men from other parts of California, including a man from Ontario and a man from Bloomington, were arrested earlier this week for theft. And when they were arrested, apparently they admitted to investigators that they had come to visit Newhall specifically to steal. So that was a big get for the Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff's Station, and I think a great reminder for everybody that, Santa Clarita is a very safe town. Our sheriffs do, and specifically our deputies, I should say, do a lot of work to keep us safe and keep crime rates down, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have bad actors coming from other areas.
Yes, I wonder how did they just blatantly ask him and they said, "Oh yeah, we definitely came here just to commit crimes." How did that question even come about?
You do have to wonder what that interaction looked like. All I know is that apparently they admitted that They came from Bloomington, they came from Ontario to just come and try and steal things. This arrest did happen at about 2:05 a.m. So these guys were out there lurking.
Yeah, nothing good happens after maybe midnight, but especially after 2 a.m. Yeah, you're up to some shenanigans out there.
No, you should be going home or already there.
Yeah, and a lot of the arrest reports that I see that we publish on hometownstation.com, a lot of them are from people that live outside of the valley, sadly enough.
Yes, I'd say looking over time, we actually do a recap every Monday of our week in arrests where we break down the stats, and anywhere between approximately 1/2 to 3/4 of arrests are people who are from outside of the Santa Clarita Valley area. Now, granted, some of that is because we are in a perfect commuter location. We have the 5 freeway and the 14, and you have people who are commuting up to Lancaster or down to Los Angeles or Los Angeles to Bakersfield who pass through the Santa Clarita Valley. And a good portion of our arrests for people who are out of town are unfortunately people who get arrested for DUI while they are heading home to one of those locations.
Yeah, might just stop off like, it's a long train ride or whatever it is. Let me just stop off. And then I'm here a little too long, and then shenanigans are afoot there.
Yeah, unfortunately. But it's also a really good reminder that even buzz driving is drunk driving, and you will get arrested for it.
Especially headed into the long holiday weekend. Remember that's a fact. Buzz driving is still drunk driving, and you'll get the full extent of the law, especially this weekend.
Oh, yes. As a matter of fact, the California Highway Patrol just announced that they are going to be launching a maximum enforcement period, or an MEP, for the holiday weekend. So they are going to be collaborating with other local law enforcement because the California Highway Patrol is state. They actually cover all of our highways, all of our interstates, as well as some unincorporated areas of wider counties. So, for example, you might see them more in Castaic than you'd see them in the middle of town. That's partially because they're mostly on the highways and freeways, and it's also partially because they do a little bit of law enforcement out in Castaic and other unincorporated areas of our valley. But they're going to be out there in force just trying to keep everybody safe because they know that it's a good time. Everybody wants to be out celebrating the birth of our nation.
Especially it's on a Friday as well.
Especially on a Friday. And unfortunately, sometimes people have a few too many drinks.
Yeah, and it's one of those where you kind of start early because you obviously don't have work, and especially this year, it's on a Friday, and you're going to be out in the heat. That doesn't help things at all. Mm-hmm. So if you do drink, obviously drink responsibly. Drink water as well if you're going to be doing it, and don't drive.
Yes, please don't drive. This is more of an anecdotal evidence, but here covering news in the Santa Clarita Valley, a lot of the times when we see fatal drunk driving crashes, especially involving multiple people in a car, it's not often the driver who is killed. It is, unfortunately for everybody, often the passenger or the person that they are involved in a collision with. So that is something to also keep in mind, is that when someone is driving drunk, everyone on the road is at risk. It's not just putting risk to the driver and taking the driver only taking responsibility for their own actions. It's everyone on the road. And so this is a team effort.
Right. And you see those reports, and there were 4 people in the vehicle. 3 of them tragically passed away, but the one that survived was the driver. More often than not, that happens, which is just sad in all accounts. So absolutely. Have fun this weekend. I know I'm going to be hanging out with some of our other news team members. So we're going to see what happens. If anything pops off, at least we'll all be together. Just don't be driving.
Yes, we will not be driving, at least for the times we're on shift. But that's it as a part of our highlights for news in Santa Clarita this week.
Great. And for more news and to read the full stories, head on over to hometownstation.com. Thank you, Jade.
Thank you.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.